Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Better Banking Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Foster, and behind the controls is Producer Rune. How's it going, Producer Rune?
Oh, everything's fine, except for this pack of stray cats that must have wandered in to the control booth. Someone must have left the door open, not me. Everything's fine. How are you?
I'm terrific. The Better Banking Podcast is a show created by Gain Federal Credit Union to fulfill our promise of sharing our knowledge for your financial advantage. Now, I'm not the expert, but I know the experts, and we're going to bring you the experts to help you manage your money better with useful information and resources. We'll also share our insights about how credit unions work and how they're different than a bank. Let's get started. We've all heard the financial advice of saving for a rainy day, pay down your debt, and don't spend more than you can afford. But there's one additional piece of the financial health puzzle that may be a little bit less clear, and I'm speaking about your credit score. And all the financial gurus tell us to keep it as high as possible. Well, to tell us why that's important and what one needs to do to keep your score in check is Greg, our VP of Lending here at Gain. Greg, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Eric. Glad to be here.
So why is a credit score important, and why should our members know what their credit score is?
Honestly, the bottom line is save money. Better your score, you're going to get benefits all the way around, and that's money in your pocket. You want to know your credit score to help you get better rates, save you in your fees that you might pay for a loan.
The benefit to having a higher score is better rates?
It's better rates. Yep. It's better terms. In some instances, if you're applying for a mortgage, let's say, better terms might mean I'm going to pay less in the way of points. My cost to get that loan will be down. So if you have a better score, I may not pay as much.
So my monthly payment will be less if I have a better score?
If you have a better score and you're getting an auto loan, you will pay less in your monthly payment, yes.
Is there anything else that benefits me from having a higher score?
But today it's evolved. Insurance companies have realized, we'll use credit scores to score who's going to pay different premium or may have to have different deductibles. Employers are using our credit scores more. So, if you're applying, say, in the financial services industry like we're in, your credit score matters too, depending on whether or not maybe you get hired or not. If you can't take care of your own credit, how are you going to take care of the credit of others? So it's evolved to more than just, the price I pay for a loan, the fees I'm going to save.
Gotcha. And in fact, I do have a neighbor, when they were renting, they got waivers on their security deposit because of their credit score.
Yep.
And I found that I had no idea that was possible.
Right.
And because of his credit score, he was able to buy the house next to me. And he's very happy because he's next to me.
Right. You got a good neighbor now.
The Better Banking Podcast will return after these messages.
Gain's Better Checking is the checking account that does more. It comes with no monthly fees, no teller fees, and a free MasterCard debit card. You can manage your account on the go with mobile banking, bill pay, and access to nearly 30,000 ATMs nationwide. And get this, qualified accounts earn up to 1% annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. For full disclosures and to know more, visit gainfcu.com/checking. Gain Federal Credit Union is insured by the NCUA and an equal housing lender.
So what does Gain offer in the way of finding out what a member's credit score is?
The one that we have currently is called Savvy Money.
I use it.
And you use that? I do too. It's a great tool. What you get with that is you can pull your credit once a day.
Yes.
You can refresh your credit score, your Vantage score, every day.
And I've noticed, like checking my Savvy Money score when I log into the online banking site, during the holiday season when I was buying more, my credit score started dipping lower. But then as soon as after the holidays came by, I started making the payments that were due, and the credit score started inching upwards. Is that typical of what would happen?
Very typical. Because here's what goes into your score. If you're looking at what's important to monitor, the big things are your payment history. By starting to make your payments, you're making them on time. Maybe you're making larger payments because they do look at that. Say my minimum payment is $25 a month, and all I ever make is $25 a month. Well, that's good. You're doing your payment history properly. But let's say you're adding an extra $50 or $100 to that payment. They're giving you extra points on that because of the fact you're not just paying the minimum payment. I'm doing more, and they can see that. 35 to 40% of your score is driven by that. So that if you don't do anything, make your payments on time, please. Don't be in that grace period. Go, I've got a grace period of 7 days. I'll pay it then.
Right.
No, pay ahead of time. The other piece that goes into that, 23 to 30% is roughly your usage. Well, you're out charging during the holidays, right? That's usage. So you're using your card. It's getting warm out there. That thing's flying through the stores. Well, your usage goes up. When your usage goes up, guess what? Your score is going to come down a bit. That's why it's important after the holidays, start saying, okay, we're going to fix this now. We're going to start paying this stuff off, and your scores obviously improve. Another part of that score is driven by credit age. Someone who's 18, who's just getting brand new credit, it's tough to get that score up. The longer you have credit, the longer it's on your credit report, that adds stability to your credit report. And of course, that helps your score. That's, like I said, 15, 21%. Your mix of credit's important, about 10%.
Is there a good mix? You mentioned a credit card and auto loan. What's the best mix I should have?
I don't know that there's a real good mix or a bad mix. Most mix comes along with age and experience, right? As we first start out, someone gives us our first credit card. Back in my day, when I was trying to get credit some 40 some years ago, everyone told you to get a gas credit card, right? It was the easiest credit card to get. Go get a Shell card.
My mom had one.
Right? They said get a store card like a JCPenney's or a Macy's.
My mom had one of those too. They called it a charge plate.
A charge plate, yeah. That's back in the day, huh?
Yeah, I think it was a Wednesday.
That was back in the, yeah.
So occasionally I will see changes in my credit score. Not much, but maybe a point or two, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Should I be concerned about those changes, especially if they're going down? What
I would encourage members to do, or anyone who watches their credit score, don't be hung up on the few points like when you're out shopping at Christmas and so on. Don't get too hung up on those numbers. Think about your overall strategy and then live your life. Read the articles, learn ways that you can do things differently. Think about how you go forward, and your credit score will be fine. You'll run in a range. And if you're not on Savvy Money, this is a great service for you, free of charge. Get out there, use that, and it will help you learn as much about credit score as you want to know and help you to manage your finances. That's pretty much covers it.
Greg Marcella, our Vice President of Lending, you will be back to the podcast because I know you have a lot more to tell us. And that was all very good information. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sitting down with us. And we look forward to talking with you again soon.
I've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me.
And that's all for this episode. Please send your comments and questions to podcast@gainfcu.com. I'd like to thank our guests, Greg Marcella, and thanks, of course, to Producer Roon. How's it going in the control room, Producer Roon?
Oh, yeah, everything's fine except for the chainsaw jugglers that just showed up. They say we're double booked for studio time. I think they're early. It's fine. Everything's fine. Back to you.
Join us next time, because there's a lot more to gain.
The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests of the Better Banking Podcast are not those of Gain Federal Credit Union. Gain Federal Credit Union is insured by the NCUA and an equal housing lender. NMLS number 407810.